welcome to our office hours session. I'm Rumesa, and we're excited to have all of you here today. And we've got an exciting lineup prepared today in terms of questions. And I'm particularly excited to introduce Safa, our expert engineer, who will be answering your questions today. Welcome, Safa.
Thank you. Hi, Marissa. It's good to be back here.
Yeah, good to see you. We've received a considerable number of inquiries to our submission form. And while we aim to address all of them, first, I'd like to start by highlighting some recent feature additions to the builder that I think many of you figured out already. But the first one, Draftbit, now in the builder, you can see the multi-image selection feature in the image picker action. And we're happy to report that now, this is available for you to use and utilize in your projects. And additionally, I don't know if you noticed before, but we've also increased the Builder Simulator runtime to 2 minutes for mobile previews. This means now you no longer to rush through your simulators, for fear of losing connection anymore. Those are two quick ones. Any other improvements that I'm missing so far?
There are a bunch of new ones coming on, like there might be in our builders, and you might see in our builders, but they're going to be available soon on the app. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, and before we jump into answering your questions, as a general reminder, our session is limited to 1 hour, and we handle questions in the order they are submitted. So please submit them as early as possible. If we run out of time, of course, your questions won't go unanswered, but we will carry them over to the next session. Let's not wait for it. Okay, let's not wait for the last minute, let's say. Now let's dive into today's questions.
Okay. So are you going to be sharing, or shall I share my screen and open them one by one? How shall we do it?
I think you can share. I mean, we can just start with Gavin's question, the first one. Actually, he was. Are you going to share?
Yeah, let me open my notepad so that I can show you the question in the meantime. So the Gavin's question is, some users think that the home icon on my navbar doesn't work because when they press on it, they're still on the home screen. How can I make some way highlighting icon on the navbar? So in this app, Gavin is using a custom block. I've checked it beforehand. So instead of using the bottom tab navigation, like in our built-in bottom tab navigation, we have this ability to highlight which one is the selected tab or not. But in this case, his problem is like whenever someone presses on any of these icons, it doesn't seems like it's clicked. So he just wants to have a solution for this. And it's pretty easy, to be honest. Like when it is a custom blocks, like you can go ahead on your custom blocks prop properties, and you can create a property called like current tab. And like let's say the default value for this would be home. And in this navbar, he has got a couple of icons here. So like I assume that this is the home screen icon. Yeah, I think so. So let's put this inside a view. And there are so many other ways of doing this, but let me do the easiest one. So let's duplicate this one and call this selected home kind of thing. And let's use a different color for this. And let's make it highlighted one. So we only want to show this icon if Oops, I did some stuff, but let's see. Conditional display current tab equals to home, and show this if current tab not equals to home. And we can do the same for the other ones. So let's do another one. For example, this my plans thing, and let's create another view here. Let's bring this icon here and duplicate this one. Let's call this selected my plans. Again, let's make this color primary high blue, and conditional display this if, let's call this current tab equals to my plans. Yeah, something like this. So we just have to be careful about with this text strings, and this current tab not equals to my plans. This kind of logic would help. So like, for example, when we are in home screen, let's go to home screen. There it is. We have got this NavBar block. He has got multiple blocks, but I'm just talking about this one. So like we can just do it, like copy and paste the same features in any other tabs. So like while we're in the home screen, we can call this current tab as home. And where's my plans? Where's my plans? There is there a screen. I think we have to find another screen with our bar block. So let's use this as settings. You know, where's my plans here? There's this. Let's call this my plans. Type my plans. So whenever we're on the home screen, it just shows you the home screen, and whenever you're out of that screen, it's just gonna change it back. I think I just changed my plans to something else. So let's dive in and see what's wrong. My plans current tab equals to my plans. Why it's not showing this icon? Let's come back. Let's go to home screen. Oh, there's obviously an issue, but I think you got the idea. Like there's maybe something that I did wrong, but this is how we're supposed to show conditional rendering in the custom blocks. Like you just define which screen that this block is currently in. We have to do it manually, obviously. But whenever you move on to the different screens, it's just gonna change the colors, and like you can just do any other styling that you want. Like right now, home screen just comes back, and this one is blue when you're in the home screen. So I think this answers Gavin's problem, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. So
And
let's.
he's not here. He was going to attend, but he has a meeting with Rahul right now. So
No worries. You can.
I think we can continue with the second one.
Okay.
This is a custom code question.
Yes. Let me delete these notes and let's see. So yeah, this app has a custom code where he's selecting an image picker, then like upload the image to a custom server. I think in this case it was Supabase, and he was getting
Supabase.
the, yes. Yeah, we went through this app before the meeting, and let me show you. We're not gonna dive into the custom code details. We're not gonna be doing entire app, but the reason why he was getting this URL hostname issue was, first of all, when you're using the Supabase client, there it is, in order to be safe, we suggest you use 1.35.7 version of the Supabase client. And whenever you use this client, you have to also include the React Native URL Polify library, because that's what this library uses. So whenever this library is not imported, the snack is throwing that error, so like it won't be able to work. So we already played around with this, but let me show it to you. There are always some other bugs on the code, especially when you're trying to upload the code, like when there's a resizing issue. But let's see. Let's show the codes first. Like in this global functions, he's got two functions. One of like they're both trying to resize an image and tries to upload that image. So he's got this keys and connection statements for the Supabase, and then like he has this function, and like he's just calling this function within this global function. And what if it is not a web client? He's just trying to open the image picker, select an image. Then if the result is not canceled, he's supposed to call a resize image function. But within this function, there's no resize image function enabled. It's an empty file, so it's not working. But again, like this implementation, this upload implementation will solve his issue. So whenever you click on this button, we call this function, and then we can select an image. That like this is how you open the image picker programmatically instead of using our custom actions. And then you do some draggings and droppings and cut the image as you want, and then you choose. And once you choose it, you can go ahead and use the image base 16 base 64 text in your endpoints to upload them to any other third-party provider that you want. Yeah, but obviously this custom code has some issues, but that's not the question, so we're just not gonna dive into that custom code here. But yeah, like just to be sure, whenever you're using a Supabase client, make sure that you're using this version and you're using direct native URL Polify. Okay. Okay,
I think
what?
he's already here.
Great.
Yeah,
So
if you have further questions, you can ask him right now. So the main problem was lacking the dependency, right?
exactly. The problem with the error, like this was the error code. The URL host name is not defined action. The error was thrown while you're creating the Supabase client. And that's why that the Supabase client is required that Polyfy library that I just showed. So that was the
Mm-hmm.
reason. Obviously, then after that, you can define the resize function and upload the function that way. But on the other hand, there's also like Supabase resize image after upload. So Supabase itself supports image transformation after an item is added to the storage. So maybe this documentation is also helpful. So instead of doing that resize action happen on the device, you can just send any image as you want to the Supabase storage, and then let the Supabase client handle this transactions. You can just go ahead and take a look at the Supabase documentations yourself, and maybe that will be helpful. And if you had any other problems like that, you can always like one-time expert services. We'll be happy to do this entire process for you.
Thank you. Instead of doing that in front end, backend handling process is much more effective, you say.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think
Do
we can go on with the third question.
okay. If we have any questions at this point, I can take them. Otherwise, I'm just gonna move on to the third one. I
I
think we're
think
good.
he's fine.
Uh,
Yeah.
so let me share my screen again. Okay, the third question was how to implement a search and filter function. And like what was showing in the sample page doctors list screen. So I implemented an example, but there's also another question which I combined these two together. So which was the fourth question? How do I have to do pagination in the case that results returned from the database is too big, like larger than 25 items. Basically, what we're talking about here is the infinite scrolling issue. So let me demonstrate both in one example.
So you're combining both dynamic search bar functionality with pagination, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm gonna be
Oh,
trying
that's
to.
cool.
So we already have this sample page on our builders. So like you can, it's a very simple one. You first of all create a fetch call, and like for pagination, your backend should support pagination. Like there's no way for you to do that in the front end manually. So like, for example, if you're using Xano, like this endpoint here returns some properties here. First of all, item received. A current payload has 25 items. Like this item's length is 25. The current page is one. The next page is two. Items total is 100. So there are like 100 items in this database for us to view. And like there are like, if you keep viewing them in 25 items, it's the page will be for total. So in this outcome, we will be only using the next page and the items here. So basically, this is one implementation. You can just easily render some things. But what if we reach to the end of that list? We just want to keep loading more data on the app. So that's why I just modified this. I just duplicated it. I added some background colors in order to make help us view it better. Let's and open this on the app. And do we have a question or I just heard something? No.
Yes, we have a
Hi,
question about Supabase.
Okay,
hi.
let
It was my question. Thanks for attending to it. The backend is actually Supabase, and I'm quite new, so maybe
okay.
it sounds like a very simple question. But I don't know if I would imagine Supabase will support the pagination
I'm
in
pretty
in.
sure use it. I just used it once or twice to Supabase, but I'm pretty sure that they already have the support for pagination. So like as soon as you have got that kind of data, that will help you create this paginated screen. So
But I
let
saw that you have to put in a pagination component in there first. Is that right?
Yeah, like for the black screen, like this is how we normally do it. But whenever it is a pagination, like infinite scrolling thing, we don't recommend using a fetch component. So instead, I'm just going to show you this implementation here. So right now, on this screen, I don't have a fetch component, but still see the data. So how do I do that? First of all, I come to my screen variables. I create two items here. One current page. Current page is going to be the screen variable to use to detect which page we are in currently in that database layer. I also have a like is loading state in order to update the items on the screen. The items array is the array that we're going to be rendering in the list. So this items array will keep expanding as we scroll down and per page component. So right now, I just initialize it like 15 items, and my first page will always be the one. So like as I scroll down, I will increment this number below. And these other two things are going to be related to the filtration. So I'm just not gonna dive into that yet, but let me show you what I done. So like once you create those screen variables, on screen focus on like the first initial load of that screen, I make a call to the endpoint. So this is a different endpoint. I call this text endpoint. I'm just making a call to here and store the result as a tag results. Let's console log it and we can see what's happening there. And what I do, I just get the items out of that tax result. So let me show you what happens there when we run this. So let's come back here. Oh, actually, just refreshed the screen. So whenever we make a request, like whenever we are focus on that screen, we get the items, and I just select the tag result is just returning the tag results that items, and I'm just setting the items array with the tag results that items. And my current page is already one, so there's nothing that I have to do. So that's how I initialize the entire list at the initial step. So let's dive into the heart of this implementation. We have to press list. And as you can see, our lists have an trigger called on and reach. So we want to do something when we're at the bottom of our list. So let's see what we do here. So first of all, I just log something that and reach so that we will see what's happening there. I'm first setting a loading state to true. I want to show an activity indicator on the screen saying that a new item is being coming to the system. I make another call. I call this tag result. And as soon as it's done, I'm just setting this loading state to false. And I'm updating the current page with the next page of the tag results. Like remember, I showed you 1 second. Let me show it to you again in order not to be confused. When we make a request here with these parameters, sorry, uh, like it returns the next page and the items object. So I'm just taking this next page. When I reach the current page will be the second page. And then the items, I get this item screen variable and concatenate that initial initial array with the new results. So I got like, I had 25 items in my first initial state, and then I got another 25 and I just combine them together. So now I've got like 50 items in my array. And let's see what happens. Like once we scroll down, once we scroll down, once we scroll down, oh, that's great. We end reach, but nothing is called. Well, what's the problem? Let me see. It's loading. Demo endpoint. Oh, okay. See, the problem is I forgot to initialize the endpoints. The demo has to have some parameters here. Yeah, there's it is. So
But this one, it intend to load additional items on the screen at the end of the list, right?
exactly, yeah. And
What what if I would like to, like have like page one, page two, page three, more like a catalog
you
search
instead of
type kind of thing.
okay, that's even easier solution. But let me show it. Finish it first. Page size would be page size. I just have to check this endpoint if I just defined the parameters correctly. Give me 1 sec. Let me see on my Zano endpoint, and this is gonna be 21 to 15. Okay, so let's use, for example, let's see this third page here. Test. Oh, okay, great. Only the page
Page
size is
size might be
per page.
different.
It's not called
Per page.
per page. Per page. Per page is going to be 15. Let's try it. So, like this endpoint returns the third page whenever I send the property to third in here. So similarly, what we're doing here is once we reach to the end, we just keep incrementing the new tags. Didn't I save this? Oh my God. Let's come back. I did not save it, sorry. Page equals to page, and per page equals to per page. Page would be, let's make it 3, and page size would be 15. Test it. Everything works fine. Save it. Great. So once we are on rent reach, we make another request. And that request, the page would be the current page, and the per page would be the per page, the screen variable. So like within the screen, you can add another picker component where it will change the per page property. So every time you make a request, you will get a different number of items from the list. And after we're done with this, then we're just gonna set the current page as the next page, and then items concatenate. Yeah, okay, that should be fine. Let's try and see if it works. Okay, see, as we scroll down, you can see the scroll bar here. Once we reach the end, new items coming in. So that's how you do the infinite scrolling. But instead of having this list here, like making an infinite call, I think you wanted to have some kind of paginated items, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like clicking on each screen will take you a different result within the page. So for that, you can go ahead and use this kind of fetch call. Like if it is not going to be an infinite scrolling, you can use this pagination file with this. And in this case, let's create a screen variable. And for now, I'm just going to use the page to current page. And let's call this 1. Save. And instead of running this, we're just going to call this current page. So this list is going to render the first page of these items. So at the end of this fetch call, you can add a custom view, and inside this view, I'm just gonna add some buttons here. But again, like there are so many different ways of building nice UIs here, but just for this demonstration, I'm just gonna be very quick for these. And yeah, and imagine this is the let's make it a little prettier. Instead of icon buttons, I'm just gonna use some pressables. I'm gonna add a pressable, and then inside this pressable, I'm just gonna add the text, and text would be for this button would be 1. Let's make it even better. Let's do it the experts way. Instead of adding manual buttons, we can add a list, and inside this list we can have a pressable, and inside this pressable we will have a text. So the data array of this list would be like the page numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Something like this. And then the text would be the number of that list. So far, so good. So let's make this list a horizontal one. And let's make some view a little nicer, add some margins. Let's add margin 8 and margin 8 like that. Great. And we can add some paddings here like 20 and 20, or even we can make it centralized, something like that. Actually, when it's listed, it's not going to centralize, but yeah, you got the idea. Once you go to the press actions, what we want to do, we want to change the current page of the screen to the clicked item. So like whenever we press 3, we want to make the current page to 3. So hopefully this will change the screen as we click on different pages. So this is the third page, this is the second page, this is the third page, and this is the fourth page. But obviously there are only 100 results here, so clicking on the fifth page is not going to show us anything because there are no items left in this case. And I think this answers your questions. Am I right? But yeah,
Yes,
again,
yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, you can just play around with the UI and make as beautiful as you can.
Right, right. But this like example of is it possible for me to relook at it later or
We can't hear you.
This session is recorded, so you can always take a look at this recording anytime in the future and just help yourself building the same UI.
okay, got it. So it will be recorded and published.
Yes, yes. You can reach this video of this session on our community page, and it's gonna be
Okay,
also
And on YouTube as well.
exactly.
okay. And on that infinite one as well, right? So the sample, and then we have to watch it over the video, right?
Yeah, you can just take a look at
Yes.
the video and just help yourself.
Okay, all right. Thank
Okay,
you.
no worries. I'm glad to answer your question.
And for the search, you're going to come back to the search.
Okay, and the first search. So
Yeah,
basically,
and the doctor page has this. I think there's a selected one and unselected. I look at the component tree and I don't quite understand how it was intended originally as well. So
they're all gonna be working this with the same methodology. So like there are two ways of doing this. The first way, which is gonna be the best way, let's say, to handle this filtration within the API level. So whenever you create your endpoint, like as you're sending some parameters to your endpoint using this, you can include a search query and where the results will be filtered in the backend and sent you as filtered results. So that's the best implementation that you can do. But imagine if this is not a big database, like only few records and stuff, they're not even to have to do a pagination or something. So the one of the best ways of doing a screen level filtration is filtering the data as they arrive to the list. So I showed you in the infinite loop, we defined the items as the data source of this list. That's how we are adding new results to here. So as you can see, I added two new things, two new transforms. One, like this is a custom function that I created and a search value. So search value is basically the value that we have here. So basically, let me show it to you. And once as I type in, I can filter out my results. And like, how does this work? Let me show it to you. The search value is the screen level value that we're created for the text box. And in my function, filter functions, I'm just required two parameters. One of them is the array, and the second parameter is the search term. I use different parameters so that it's not going to make any confusion here. So what this function does, it takes an array, like the initial array, and filter that using the JavaScript's filter function. So like in my item, I've got the property called tag name. I just compare them. I'm just telling here that filter all the functions that the lowercase of the tag name is not a part of the lowercase of the search term. So basically, for example, when I start typing Amanda with AM, and first convert them to lower cases because sometimes I might look for something that is capitalized, and in JavaScript that's not gonna work. So you have to lowercase your characters. So I just take the AM, lowercase it. I take the tag name, lowercase it, and I see if the the characters AM is at any part of that string. So if this result, like if AM doesn't contain within that tag name, this will return a -1. So what I'm telling it, like return me all the values that are that the index is not -1. So that's basically this what this custom function does. So as I type in numbers like D, E, and R, as I type in, I make filtration. So this is not filter out because it has DR and DER, and this one is let's see, DER, like match at this part of the text. So that's how we do the filtration in the screen lab. Okay, so I think that's
That's
also
great.
but
Yeah.
yeah, as I told you before, the best way of this filtrations is to do it on the backend level, because like you might have like thousands of results that you want to filter and you want to show all of the results within here. But with this way, when you do a screen level filtration, you can only filter the results that you return. So if you have got like thousands of records and you only loaded first 25 to 50 of them, so all you're going to be doing is like filtering out that 50 items within that screen. But there are like 950 items left in the database for you to search. So that's not the best way of implementation. But again, if you don't have that much data and all of your data, if all of your data is in your screen, you can use the screen level filtration. Excuse my voice, sorry.
That's okay.
No,
Great.
that
You're
sounds
doing
like
a
it
great
has a
job.
better user experience as well. If the number, let's say it's in, let's say 100 number range, would
Yes.
that use this method would still be fine, you think?
Yes, even like for thousands of records is okay. Like you can just do filtrations for thousands of records. But like imagine, yeah, your device, like you just want your user experience as fast as possible. So if you want to like do a filtration for items that are larger than 1,000, it's gonna be sluggy. Like there will be some laggings and stuff. Like you don't want to force your device to do heavy loads. So if it's like if your list is larger than like 1,000 records, I don't suggest you do any screen level filtration. Just send the parameters to your backend, get the filtered results, and just show it on your screen.
Yep,
Okay.
got it.
I,
All right.
I think we can continue with the next question, Safa.
Okay.
We
Let
have
me.
many other questions waiting in line.
Okay. Okay. Let me be faster. Okay, so these two are like basically so similar. Like how to define dynamic and custom date ranges, like upcoming equals to current month till the end of the month. This feels like there's no direct way of doing this in Draftbit, but I suggest you use a custom library called dayjs, and like this is very similar to the popular JavaScript library called Moment.js. If you use it in the past, this library is going to be deprecated. So from now on, I suggest you use dayjs, and everything that you want to do regarding the formatting of the dates or like custom date ranges can be done using this library. It's a very small one. It works perfectly fine with Draftbit. You can go ahead and read your documentation and help yourself with this one. So I'm not going to be diving into the details of this, but I suggest you use the dayjs library for this formats. Okay, so the scrolling issue, the whole screen, like the Victor's question about the tab view. Let me show it to you. This is a tricky one, and let me show you why. I'm not gonna go into very deep again, but in this app, our user has a scrollable screen, and he also has a tab view within that screen. And like once you have this both, uh, let me run this app on devices. He has got this scrolling issue. It's gonna be easier for us to demonstrate
Yeah,
on.
the issue was when it comes to TabView, it's not scrolling smoothly. Just
Exactly.
like doesn't detect the event there or like press action.
So the tab view is a custom component that we just are using in the Draftbit is a like third-party library, and it is another scroll view, like animated scroll view. So whenever you have another scroll view inside the scroll view, it is always problematic. So if you want to do a scrollable tab view, the best practice is to have the scrollable items inside the scroll view, inside the tab view. So once you inside the tab view, you have got the tab view item, and within this tab view item, you do your scrollings. But in this case, this user, uh, what happened? I think this user has some changes on the app. Let me do a screen build. If we see the error again,
Victor is here actually. Victor?
If there's anything I can do with the backend, I'd be happy to help.
Okay, let me try it again if there's a notification error. So if it doesn't load, I can just talk over it. Otherwise, while it's loading, let me tell you, like, we don't suggest like using scroll views inside other scroll views. Okay, it loaded. So, like for example, when we scroll the top view of the app, we don't have any issues. But actually, it's not scrollable anymore. Let me come back to the screen and make it scrollable. Let me make the screen. There you go. Yes, once we scroll the top part, it works fine. But whenever we try to, ah,
Yes, it's a bit tricky. Right now, it shouldn't work anymore.
yeah, it sometimes works, it sometimes doesn't. So that's really annoying. I see what you mean. So it's not 100% clear. Yeah, for example, when I click on this part, it doesn't scroll, but whenever I am down below somewhere, it does work. So it is not a very conditional thing to work. So what I suggest you, Victor, here is not to use tab view. Instead, you can put everything here, like on this type item inside the view, and like everything here under this tab item inside another view. And you can create these two buttons here. So they're going to be just pressables. So on press of this pressable, you will render this items over here, and like pressing on this button will render this items over here. Yeah, you won't have this animation over here, but that's going to be the safest solution to overcome this issue. Otherwise, it's just going to cause you any problems. I also had another solution to this, but it's not a perfect solution because it's obviously it's not a solution. But let me tell you what. I created an absolute view here, which is going to take the entire space where it belongs. It's going to be absolute, and there's a padding of 60 pixels on the top. So let me show you what this it looks like on the top. So and the Z index is like 99, which means I put another layer on the top of everything else on the screen. So it looks something like that is orange. So whenever you have something like this, it's very easy to handle because you're not touching the top view below. So it's very easy to scroll over it. And once you make it transparent, you will be able to see what's going on there. But this will only work if you don't have any other pressables on that screen. So for example, we can now scroll it, but we no longer be able to press on these buttons. So this is not a solution
All
to
right.
this problem. But like if you don't have anything to press on this screen, you could just use this formalization, and by this way you can just use the tab views animations like this again. But if this animation is not like something that you cannot get rid of, I suggest you using views on this screen instead of tab view.
But
Okay.
this happens, as you can see, because of the scrollable, right? The tab view itself is scrollable.
Exactly.
So you want whole screen to be scrollable as a whole item like,
Yes.
right, Stefan?
Yes, or like what else you can do is make the top items inside here like scrollable. But this way, this part of the app won't be scrolling up again, but you will keep scrolling within the tab. So I don't think that is something that you also want to do. So the best solution would be to have that custom views instead of the tab views here.
Okay, I understand. Thanks a lot for your answer.
No,
I want to know if there's any updates on this tab view item, which is maybe forecasted for you on your.
Uh, there's no updates for the tab view at the moment in our roadmap because like it does what it's supposed to do in most cases, but it's a very unique case here, so that's why
For
we.
TabView, we are planning some updates, but not the scrollable thing. But we can definitely talk it to our core engineers and let's see what they can do.
Thanks. And I
So
want to
we're
know, do you think it would be possible to maybe deal with this issue with custom code?
You can create animated views that will work definitely like the tab views. That obviously you can get over done with this problem with the custom code, but it will require some additional information. You can create the exact same thing, but not with the current tab view component that we have in Draftbit.
Okay, I understand. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Okay, so there's another one, and since we have got like 10 minutes, I think we can have this covered. So, is there a easy way to do the localization in like want to have multiple languages in the app? I think it is a very easy solution. There's an easy solution in Draftbit that you can use, and let me show you how I do it. Say what I do it, and then I'm gonna show you how to do this. And for this demo, I just created some items on the screen. Let me show you how we deal the localization in Draftbit. So it's a very simple page. It's like simple form. There's a title, text input, and button. The text input has a placeholder and button as something. And I've got a select language box. And for example, if I choose Turkish, no, like if I choose French, it's just French. If I choose Turkish, everything is Turkish. And if I choose English, everything is English. And if I just select nothing, the default is English. And as you can see, the placeholders and everything works perfectly fine. So how we do it? First of all, let me show you my device variables. And in device variables, like device variables are the ones that are not reset to their initial value when you close the app. So for example, if you for example, in this case, I have a variable called language, and I set it the default value to be English as en as of English. And like if I save this app and just close this app and come back, I want this settings to be set as the last value I set. So I don't want it to reset to the initial value. If I change it to French, I just want to keep it as French. That's why I use this on the device variable. And on the app variables, I've got the language files. For this, I use English for like this object. I'm gonna show them in a minute. For Turkish TR, which is gonna be the RIS, and for French, I use FR, which is gonna be this. And like this is gonna be a very simple thing. For English, I have got like four properties: title, content, placeholder, and submit. So if the title is going to be title, content is gonna be some text. Like this can be as big as you want, like as big as your app. Like this can be extendable. You can use any different text keywords for this, and go ahead. Like once you have this structure, all you have to do is just to translate. Like for this, I just copy and paste this and use this here and convert it to Turkish myself. And what I did was I just copied this and just paste it over the f variable. The reason why I use f variable because I don't want these variables to be changed at all within the app. Like whenever I close the app, I just want this values to be their initial values. In Draftbit, you can update the app variables from the screens, but whenever you close, whenever you reset, close and open the app, the values will be reset to the default values. That's why it's important to use this language files over here. Okay, so that's how we structure the file. So how do we implement this on our components? So for example, this title, as you already know, like I just created this curly bracket and assigned a variable called title. And in here, that's the tricky part. I'm trying to get the title from my language files. And then I'm calling this translate function. So let's take a look at this translate function does. So it's a global function that I created here. This is only 3-line code. It's a very, very easy implementation to do. So first thing first, I want to read app variables from this function. I get the current language as the variables that language will give me the current language. In this case, is the N. And then if there's no current language selected, I'm just to be sure, like secure that if no language is selected, if the top item on the picker is selected, make sure that current language is always English. You can choose your own native language in this case. And then this is the magic happening. So like what we're doing is we're like, you remember in our app variables, we have got a variable called N and TR and FR. So basically, once you want to reach your English language, you have to call it as variables.n. But in this case, it's a changeable thing. It's like we just gonna change as the current language change. So that's why you just call this with this brackets. And then inside this language file, I just want to look for my key. In this case, for example, title. So what I'm doing right now, I'm looking at the key title in the language file. So if in any case, if I make a mistake, I don't want to see any crashes or anything. If there's no value returned out of this result, I just want to return an empty screen, like instead of a null value or anything. So this 3 lines of code will translate this entire thing to any language that I want. So basically, once I choose title and transform translate, it's just gonna take the currently selected languages value from the variable list. And similarly, content will be content, and text input, you can use this placeholder as this translate function. So I'm just calling the placeholder with the translate transform. The button is very similar again here. And my picker, this is the language picker that I'm using on the top bottom of the list. So on this case, we just have to define the options. So the options is here, like for example, the label will be English. You can change the label, and the value will be English, EN. And let me add the French one that we just added as the JSON object. So let's call this French, and the value will be FR. And all you have to do is just copy and paste this JSON file and use this as option here. So once you've done that, your options will be here. And then this picker on value change, what I want to do is I'm just select the global variable called language with the new picker value. So whenever I select something, I update my global variable so that this format action is being called in every single component that I've used, and the screen is got updated. So that's all we had to do for this implementation. And like, imagine you want to make another translation, you can go ahead use ChatGPT. Let me oh, where's my ChatGPT button? Hmm, 1 sec. Uh, you can paste your JSON file like this and translate to Spanish. You can get the entire JSON file to Spanish. You can copy and paste this to your device variables like this. Uh, for example, here, let's use yes for Spanish. And then we have to add yes as our new selection, Spanish called yes, and just take this and come back to the speaker options, save. Let's wait. And now we have got the Spanish option ready for us to use in our app. Okay, that's, I think, answers.
That's pretty cool.
That was, yeah, that's a really good and easy implementation to do. And you can use, since this is a global function, you can use it anywhere in the app, and that would be good to go. Okay, do we have, we're out of time. We have got 2 more questions here.
Actually, maybe we can go with the last one. I mean, you don't have to live demo right now, but you can just maybe give some advice to Mani, because she was waiting for her question to be answered here now.
I have a list rendering on the app. I need users to make changes to some items on the list and show them at the same list, but with their updates. Oh, that's a really good one. Good question.
I could actually demo if you don't mind, so you know what I mean, because
Uh,
I think you need to sign in, etc. to
Okay, like,
get
do you mind sharing your own screen so that we can just see your screen?
yeah,
Of
let's
course.
do that. This is loading. So I have a list of items that comes from my backend.
Yes.
Could
you please share your screen so that we can all see?
Yes, I'm just waiting for the app for the preview to load. Just a second. And thank you for increasing the time. It's really helpful, actually.
No worries.
Okay, here we go. So I have this thing here.
Yeah. We're looking.
It renders a list of items, and some of them I want to save into my favorites.
Okay.
So if I click here, it actually like does whatever I need to do in the backend.
Yes.
But the red heart, it appears next to every item.
Item, yes.
So how do I just get this one item?
Okay. First things first, like there's no direct way of doing this without a custom code. And yes, let me, could you please show me the list? Like you're just getting your list data from the fetch component directly, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not gonna be a very, like, if you want to do this without any custom code, that's pretty easy. Like, all you have to do is you return the favorites data from your fetch component and assign that, like, it's gonna be a Boolean value if this item is liked or not. So if you got this information from your backend for each item, just render either a filled heart or empty heart based on that value. So whenever your backend has this information and rendered it, like without you clicking on it, the initial values will be here. And
I'm just going to interrupt for a second. The thing is that this list that I see and the favorites list, it's 2 different databases. So
it's not the same
Is
thing.
this only me or?
Is it what?
Sorry, Rumesa.
Sorry, go. Most probably my internet connection.
You're not getting the favorites data out of this fetch call then. Am I right?
Yes, you are right. This is a different data set. And when I click here, it gets saved into the favorites data set.
Okay. So like, again, you can join these 2 data sets in your backend, but if it is not something that you want to do, what other say, if it's not something that you can do, only option left is using custom codes. So for example, within your app, you can have a, for example, global variable called favorites, something like that. And inside this global variable, you can have your IDs of the items that are liked. For each item, you can have a conditional rendering. If the ID of this current item that is being rendering is included in this favorites array, show me the filled heart. Otherwise, show me the empty heart.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So if you like, if somehow you can make a conditional check for every single item, then you can be like filtered accordingly. And on every single press, when once you like something, you have to populate this global array of favors with this new ID. And if you unlike an item, you just have to remove that ID from that global variable so that your list will look synchronized.
Mm-hmm. And it needs to be a device variable so that the information doesn't get lost when the app is
That
closed.
if you want to hold this information in your device, you're correct. But if it is going to be like information from the database, like if you're going to use a different component, like on the initial load of your app, you can populate this device variable with this favors information on the very first load of your app, so that you will know which items that
Mm,
this user has liked, and then you can use that device variable for this conditional renderings.
okay, understood. And another way you say it's within Xano, I can just
Yes,
connect
you can.
that
Like
data.
if you're using Xano, it's a very easy implementation. All you have to do is just join two tables. Search for the either join or left joins of the Xano tables so that you can join both information together.
Okay, okay,
But,
then I think I can figure it out.
yeah, yeah. Just like write a community post if you can't. I will try to help you as much as I can. Like, and we can continue from there if you want.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for your patience. I didn't know that this question was the last one, and you're waiting for that
No
answer.
worries. I learned stuff.
All right, cool.
Thank
I'm helpful.
you.
Okay, thank you. That's quite the list, I guess, Safa.
Yes, I'm sorry if it took longer than I expected. I was hoping to finish it earlier. But yeah,
No, I think that was great. We learned a lot from you. Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
And of course, thank you for bringing your questions and for actively participating in our community in general. This is for our attendees. And yeah, let's meet in our next office hours session.
Thank you. I'll
Thank
see you
you.
later. Bye bye.
See you.